Hello, folks. Welcome back. Today, we're going to unlock the mysteries of Palantir and see how this company has the potential to increase by a factor of 20 or more over the next 10 years. All right. Palantir makes business process automation type software that harnesses the power of AI to connect AI to company data. Um, they also make products for the government that allows the government to be able to harness the powers of AI and unleash, insights and process flow automation for government purposes. Here are the details. Okay. All right. So we're talking about this is a Silicon Valley company founded by a group that could be described as the PayPal Mafia. Okay. There's a group of very successful entrepreneurs that emerged out of the online payments company called PayPal. Those would include people such as Peter Thiel or Thiel. Um, Elon Musk was part of that organization. They've gone on to do some amazing follow-up type of companies. Current CEO is Alex Karp. All right. So, uh, Palantir, the name comes from the Lord of the Rings, the Seeing Stones, J.R.R. Tolkien, and with the idea that you're going to be able to see insights, see into an organization's data with much more efficiency by leveraging the power of AI. Okay. When this company was first founded there back in 2003, 2004, there was a real cultural bias in Silicon Valley against working for the U.S. Department of Defense, the military, and so companies such as Google and Apple, et cetera, just wouldn't they wouldn't come forward to help out the U.S. Defense Department. But um, all successful countries need to harness the power of the technology that's in their business sector to make their militaries as strong as possible. Because if you don't have a strong military and you have a very successful economy, eventually someone will come along and try to take your lunch money. All right, so. They stepped into the gap, and at first they created products for organizations such as the CIA, harnessing the power of machine learning. The machine learning technology was already being used and pioneered by PayPal in order to detect fraud in their payment networks. So that core technology was ported into Palantir and then used at first for government type work. All right. So since then, they have expanded out into business applications, and I mean, to this day, one of the applications that is currently going on is Palantir Gotham type product is being used in the conflict, the war in Ukraine, in order to help the Ukrainians use AI to more efficiently deploy their own resources and to develop battlefield insights into strategies that can maximize their effectiveness. And it's been very, very successful, especially with the deployment of drones. All right, so how does this product, the Palantir technology work? Well, you can think of these little circles A, B, C, D. If this is a typical company, you might have the manufacturing group within the company have its own data stored, for example, in cloud type servers. You might have the marketing people have their own data. You might have the human resources, etc. They're all separate data sets that don't really connect and work with each other, and so the Palantir software is able to, in a sense, sit on top of all the siloed, disparate company data sets and then connect AI to the company data in order to be able to develop, business process automation, improved efficiency, improved collaboration, um, the development of low code or no code apps, okay, to help automate business processes. One of the really interesting things about the Palantir software is that they have features built in such as one-click restore. So if you empower an employee in order to make changes to business process flow, and if it didn't work hypothetically, then you can just click restore and get a restore point to where it was before the change was made very very easily. Predictive analytics, meaning it's like the AI is able to see insights into the relationship between different variables and how a company operates, and maybe even pulling in variables from outside what with the AI, what the company would typically be looking at, and predict things that may occur, need to occur in the future. For example, maybe a weather event or something like that. How would that, uh, uh, affect the, sales revenue or the production process for a company? Their software includes the idea of human in the loop, okay, with the AI. We're not just completely setting AI free in order to automate and willy-nilly make changes and do things. We're talking about having people in the loop, so to speak, with different levels of permissions in order to have supervisory type of controls over how much automation that the AI is able to implement. So case study, company Option Healthcare, they do home infusion post-care type of follow-up services, if, people have an operation or something. So a big part of their business is like, okay, we're going to send nurses out to help people in their homes. So their AIP, which stands for AI Platform product, provides dashboard type of supervisory insights into their business processes, and helps automate things like nurse scheduling, patient onboarding, uh, optimizing the procurement so that they don't have excess inventory in any one particular type of input item, and the net result of this is about a 4% lift to the company profit margin. And so that to me that's a really interesting insight, that the margin lift is about 4% because the cost of implementing this software is much lower typically than the profit lift that companies are getting. So it's creating a really sticky type of product that once you implement it, it's like going back to the old way of doing things is not economically viable. And their pricing model is based off of a smallish, like a fixed fee cost for installation, and then a variable cost type of recurring subscription model based on the operating costs of the company. All right. So a quick breakdown of where their business lies. Government is still the majority of their revenue. Okay. And this could be seen as a negative because you're thinking, well, government is only so big. There's only so many opportunities, but the private sector is much larger market opportunity. But what we're seeing over the past 3 or 4 years is that the growth in the application of Palantir product is just skyrocketing in the commercial sector, to the point where in the latest quarterly earnings report, the commercial segment of their revenue increased year over year at 121% growth rate. So this blue, which is the 2025 versus this is the 2024 government versus commercial breakdown. The blue is expanding much, much faster than this kind of orange color over here. All right, so let's look at the financials. We're talking about 5-year revenue growth rate of 31%, 1 year, 47%. So we have accelerating revenue. Okay. Q3, the most recent quarter, we're talking 77% revenue growth rate. Demand is just exploding for this company's products. And it makes sense that this would be occurring in the year 2025 if you step back and look at the big picture of what's happened in terms of business information over human history. If you go back to the 1220s, 1230s, the knowledge of how to operate a business and the business processes would be pretty much in the head of a craftsman or a person that's involved in kind of like a guild. And they would have an apprentice that they would directly speak and transmit that business information on to the next person and to other people. And then books were invented, and so we had data stored in books, and then we have things like, go forward in time, we have personal computers and data stored on individual personal computers, and then we go forward even further into like 20,000, the year 2000, 2010, where data began to migrate to the cloud server type of data storage. And so all these companies have all their data on cloud storage, but the data is kind of disconnected and disjointed, and the Palantir software is able to connect the AI to the company data and automate and improve business process efficiency. And it just happens to be that ChatGPT has been out for 3 years now, and so the power of AI is really starting to hit home in society in terms of boards of directors and putting pressure on CEOs in order to improve business process efficiency with AI. And if you don't use Palantir software, a large language model doesn't go very far with your company in terms of improving business process efficiency. We can compare these growth rates to a great company, okay, a company that I've had investment in for quite a while actually, is Microsoft. But if you compare 15% and 15% for revenue growth rates and 15 and 21% for Microsoft, if you compare that to the Palantir numbers, it's not even close. All right, another really important metric to understanding the power of Palantir's business model comes from something called the Rule of 40, which is a really good way of analyzing the success of a software as a service business model. Rule of 40 means that, well, you add the revenue growth rate percentage of the company, and everybody likes to have growing revenue, but without a nice healthy profit margin, revenue growth rates don't mean that much. So if you add these two things together, it gives you something called a rule of 40. And if you have, for example, 20 and 20, then you hit the rule of 40, and then you have a very good software as a service business model. So if you apply this financial metric to analyzing companies like Shopify, okay, currently has a rule of 40 of about 39, right on the money. It's a very good software as a service business. Okay. You apply this to Microsoft, has very large Azure cloud, uh, storage services and AI enhanced cloud storage services with all their other products. It's a great business, okay? Rule of 40 metric for Microsoft is 51. But if you, it just these other companies, no other company stacks up to Palantir, okay? Because their rule of 40 as of the third quarter earnings release has increased all the way up to 113. Okay, this is like all-time record highs. It's like the the Babe Ruth of rule of 40 businesses. It's the Michael Jordan. Okay, it's the Tiger Woods of businesses, so to speak. So. Mention the profit lift that companies typically get of 2 to 5%. And what's really interesting about the power of their business model is that it's large language model agnostic. Okay. So you don't have to use ChatGPT or Gemini or Anthropic. Any of these large language models, in a sense, can be plugged in that the company chooses can be plugged into the Palantir system. So it really, from that standpoint, it puts the Palantir software provides, in a sense, the choke point between all the different LLMs that exist and the siloed company data that is in the servers. So they don't have sales staff. All right. They don't advertise. You're not going to see ads for Palantir on TV or ads on Facebook for Palantir. They don't advertise, okay? All this growth that they're experiencing and success is pretty much just word of mouth. And I'm seeing a really interesting dynamic emerge that you could, in a sense, say that what's currently happening with regard to the computer science of the year 2025 going forward is that we're having a situation that to me reminds me of what in the 90s and 2000 was called the Wintel monopoly, where Intel provided the hardware for the PC and Microsoft provided the software for the PC, and those two companies worked closely together in order to create the entire, in a sense, computer science stack of the core technology of that era. I'm seeing a Palvidia, I'm going to coin that term, Palvidia type of business model emerging where the Palantir soft is like the software uh, in the year 2025 and going forward, the software part of that computer science stack and NVIDIA is providing the hardware side, the GPU side. So many positives here. We have founder-led company. I like to invest in founder-led companies that have proven track records. This Alex Karp fits the bill, and Peter Thiel and these other people fit the bill for that. So I think that they're all the research and development that they've done over the past 20 years can be leveraged to create even, there's going to be new products that they're going to be coming out with. Okay. In other words, you could say that economies of scope are at play. Economies of scope are business efficiencies that occur when companies are able to leverage a core technology for multiple products. Okay, Google has been very successful in leveraging their core search business for all sorts of things, including this YouTube video that you're probably watching this on and recommending feeds of YouTube videos into people's you know devices. First mover advantage is always great. If anytime you have a company that pioneers a new type of business, it tends to capture mind share, so to speak. So this type of AI business process efficiency software, I think Palantir is gonna have huge advantage because they're the first ones to really develop this. Yeah, I don't see any better way of monetizing AI for the entire world's economy than Palantir products. Uh, it's complicated stuff, really. We're talking about, the stuff that I've been talking about, kind of very abstract. It's not like a concrete product that people can see, um, like Coca-Cola or even a Tesla automobile, which, people might have firsthand experience in. So I see that as a positive. I think that if people really understood what Palantir was doing more, I think the stock price would be a lot higher than it is right now, even though it's on some metrics it could be viewed as being high. So negatives, well, the stock price has run up quite a bit over the past year, couple years since I got into it. And so the current price earnings ratio, if that's a metric that you think is really important, and it shouldn't be the most important metric for analyzing the success of any business, because any of these companies that have grown by factors of 1,000 or 10,000 or 20,000, have always had high PE ratios associated with them. I mean, Microsoft has always had a higher than market price earnings multiple. It's got a controversial CEO. He's tends to really speak his mind and has made some controversial statements, which for the most part have just been very pro Western values and pro-America. But I mean, that could be viewed as a negative for people that are anti-Western values or, um, people that, don't think that, United States, for example, should be a dominant world power, but it could be viewed as a negative by some people. Opportunities for growth. The build out of the AI in terms of doubling in effectiveness every 6 months or so is meaning that Palantir software products improve their effectiveness, their what's called the marginal revenue product, or the amount of value that they're adding to a company based on the value of the of in part of the large language models that companies plug into the Palantir system. So they, in a sense, they get a free ride off of the improvements in AI. Currently, there's about 530 commercial customers for Palantir, that maybe 550. They have just scratched the surface of the potential market that's out there. I think maybe only 3% of the companies are into the Palantir product at this point. So total addressable market is huge in front of Palantir. All right. So here's where I think a hidden, unknown potential uh, source of future value for the company is going to be, and that is in the what I anticipate will happen is eventually we'll have what I call a Palantir economic ecosystem. What do I mean by this? Well, first of all, you have to understand something called a network effect, or Metcalfe's law in computer science. Economists call it a network good. And these symbols just mean that the value of any network type product is equal to some constant K times the number of connections or nodes between entities squared. So if you go from two nodes, you know, and you double the number of nodes to four, and it's like, well, two, but two squared is four. Four squared is 16. You get outsized gains when you add additional people into or entities into a network. And the classic example of this is a company like Facebook, okay? If you only have two people using Facebook, the value of the network is not very high, okay? But if you have 40 people on Facebook and they're your friends, right? Then all your different friends are able to talk to all, communicate with each other. And with a company like Meta, that where there's like 3 billion users at this point, the number of connections or possible nodes in the network is almost infinite at this point. It's such a huge number. It's why companies like Blue Sky, uh, a potential competitor type of product, is going down the tubes. Is that how do you compete with Facebook if only two of your friends are on this new social media network and you have 40 of your friends are on Facebook or 50 friends are on Facebook? So now that we understand the idea of network effect, all right, so we can see that I believe in the future, Palantir is going to come out with a product that basically has the same isomorphic structure of the product that they have for the individual company, but allows business process automation in between different companies that do business with each other. Okay, so the example I'm going to give is, here, you replace these circles instead of the divisions of a company. Now these circles represent individual companies. So if this is Ford Motor Company, and this is Magna, which is a supplier to Ford, and Goodyear Tire Company, U.S. Steel, and they do business with each other. You can have Palantir software, in a sense, provide the communication between companies, setting permissions and levels of automation in between the companies, harnessing the power of AI in order to improve the business process flow efficiency, just-in-time logistics type of thing, so that you don't have big backlogs and buildups of inventory in a manufacturing process at the wrong time, and everything will flow more like clockwork if you tie it all together with the large language model gets tied together with a Palantir product. And so this to me could increase the economic value of Palantir by a factor of 20, 30, maybe even 50. And I do think it will happen at some point in time. Um, because the way Palantir's already set up is, it's based on different levels of permissions. And I'm sure companies that join into the Palantir network will say, oh, I have a very close relationship working, if Ford Motor Company has a very close relationship with a company like U.S. Steel, and they've been working with them for a long time, there could be lots of permissions that are automated between the flow of steel through their system and Ford Motor Company, or and then it's going to create this situation that companies that don't join the Palantir network are going to be at, in a sense, a disadvantage from an efficiency standpoint. So once a number of companies join in and start working together and automating their business processes together, then the economics will force people's hands. Okay, so Palantir has grown into my largest portfolio position. Um, and I'm comfortable having a pretty significant share in it. And it's once again, it's a technology company, and the stock price is gonna be quite volatile. My risk preference is perhaps higher, okay, than most people. So you need to do your own research on this. Um, so Anyways, I hope you found this information useful and interesting, and I thank you for watching. Till next time, take care.